describe it, but when I first got to the archipelago of Chiloe, I felt as though I stepped into another world. It wasn't the Chile I'd seen and was used to. For one, there's some interesting architecture, like the hundreds of wooden churches around the island. And I also heard about some fascinating folklore. The island has a pretty wet climate, which makes possible a temperate rainforest, one of the world's few. Also, northwest of the island is home to some really cool marine fauna with things like whales, dolphins, sea lions, and penguins. I did get to see some otters from the ferry as I was heading over to the island. Such animals, however, are under constant threat from things like urban development, pollution, and habitat degradation. Nowadays, conservation centers are helping control such dangers as well as advocating responsible marine ecotourism.
Just got off the island of Chiloe, back on mainland. What was interesting about the island of Chiloe was looking at the paraforitos, which are the houses built on stilts above bodies of water, mainly the ocean. And what's curious about these is that the government's thinking about doing one of two things. First, they're thinking of perhaps making these a national monument to the island of Chiloe. And secondly, they're thinking of condemning them and shutting them down because they are unsafe structures, and they're really not fit for living. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on that front. Now, I'm not big on putting on the flashers or sounding the alarm, but right now we're at a pretty dramatic point in human history. Agriculture, the largest industry on Earth, has within its power the ability to exhaust the planet's biological support systems.
It's able to lay waste to soil, water, forest, wildlife, and even the way of life of traditional farming communities. We're in serious need to rein in and manage this trend before we exhaust the world of these resources irreversibly. But there are solutions. Sustainable agriculture is part of this answer, part of our hope. Some might even say, part of our salvation. The Sustainable Agriculture Program of Fruticula Onwe consists of three pillars: social responsibility, environmental health, and economic profitability. The company has developed its practices and philosophies around these core values. Sustainability rests on the idea that we must meet the needs of the present indefinitely without compromising social responsibility, the health of future ecosystems, and our economic viability. While learning these concepts in school, the opportunity to see them in a real-life situation from a ground level in Chile was absolutely enlightening. I was able to witness the integration of a business into local farming communities, watching it host, sponsor, and participate in a variety of area events. From a farm level, I was able to see a number of sustainable agriculture practices being carried out on farms, as well as watch the implementation of other programs that help protect the environment. And having spent time in both an office setting and on the farm, I was able to observe economic decisions from both the standpoint of an international exporter and a Chilean farmer with only half an acre of crops. The social side of sustainable agriculture ensures the continued development of farming communities. This social obligation, this outreach, begins as early as grade school. I've seen one Onwe owner taking time from his day to teach students about public health and safety within an agricultural community. Given the extent of this industry in Chile, some of today's students will likely become participants in the farming community as they integrate into the workforce. It's like today's seeds growing for tomorrow's harvest. But this education doesn't stop there. It continues in events like the really popular agriculture expositions intended for professionals within the industry. Some of these fairs can get huge, drawing crowds of over 700 people. It's also commonplace for the company to sponsor community events like theatrical productions and helping out put on public art projects, like the sponsored intercultural mural held in conjunction with the Under-20 Female Soccer World Cup. Also in the food world, the company occasionally donates their product to local gastronomy events like Aromas, a culinary contest between 19 technical universities throughout Chile. A second pillar of sustainable agriculture is environmental health. Agriculture and the environment are kind of a married couple, so in the Sustainable Agriculture Farm Audit, this happy marriage is ensured to be a long and lasting one where both are able to prosper side by side. This audit encompasses everything from energy to soil, air, and water to chemicals to rubbish. The idea is to use this audit as an educational tool to bring farms closer to this goal of sustainability.
Right now I'm walking through one of these audits on a raspberry farm, and we're just having a closer look at the products on this farm.
Onway, along with its North American client Jasper Wyman and Son, are also committed to other environmental initiatives, including a container collection program put on the past few years to safely dispose of chemical containers used on farms. The union of sustainable agriculture and economics is really just sensible business decisions that make secure the future of a company and an industry as a whole, even in uncertain times. If a company is not economically viable, it simply cannot exist. That is, unless we resort back to the barter system, directly exchanging goods and services. Fun? Maybe. Unreasonable? Definitely. Being down here has definitely shed some new light for me on various realities, not only seeing an exporter at work, but from a farmer's standpoint as well. A new, more informed customer base looking for a long-term view of food production has emerged within today's market, and this has undoubtedly reflected on farms down here. Farmers seem to understand that their economic success is, in part, based largely on customer satisfaction at the other end of the food production spectrum. An international exporter, not too surprisingly, must act within the world market in terms of its economics. So as part of being internationally informed, a company needs to be aware of market trends across borders and conduct business accordingly. The exporter is also responsible for informing their suppliers, their farmers, of market trends and making sure everyone's on the same page. This transparency is super important. There is no doubt Onway plays a significant role in community progress from a variety of angles, and I have also seen just how much this work has helped spawn social change between farmers and the broader society here in Chile. This is crucial when we talk about sustainable agriculture. What I've realized after looking at this program is that a community must act within its own scale when we talk about sustainable agriculture programs. There is no doubt everything is connected, from our societal health to the well-being of our planet to equitable markets. We all need to be aware of these ties, but also understand our own personal footprint within the world and act within our own scope. That's to say, it's not within one's power to single-handedly solve the world of its problems. However, we can each give a hand to the well-being of the world and know we are growing in a positive direction.